hard skills are the skills that a hiring manager or recruiter can see on your CV. Your soft skills are your interpersonal skills, and they're your personal attributes, your teamwork, your ability to communicate, your ability to manage a team. I would say these soft skills are soft skills that would benefit anyone in any industry at any level. You are talking about communication skills, you're talking about team play attributes, you are talking about emotional intelligence. As you get more and more experience and those hard skills become more and more evident, those soft skills are expected to be developed at the same time.
Engineering employers typically look for candidates with the right hard and soft skills. But what does hard and soft skills mean? What's the difference? How can engineers identify, develop and demonstrate the skills that are in high demand? In this episode of Engineering Pro, we'll be speaking with Justine van Eeden, Key Account Director at NES Fircroft. We'll discuss the differences between hard and soft skills and their significance in the engineering and energy sectors. We'll define these type of skills, explain their importance, and explore how engineers can develop the soft skills that recruiters are looking for. So, hi Justine, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Hi, nice to be here.
So, just very quickly to start with, can you share a little bit of your background within NES Fircroft and your role?
Yeah, sure. So I've been with NES Fircroft now for about a year. I'm the Key Account Director for one of our large operators in the Middle East. It's a really exciting position. And I've actually returned to NES, having worked for the business approximately 12 or 10 years ago in our London and Perth, Western Australia office. So it's great to be back in the business.
Fantastic. So yes, thank you for joining us today to talk to our candidates and to our audience about hard and soft skills. For a lot of people, they might know what that means. Some of them might not have an idea. So the first question I've got is, what is the key difference? What are hard and soft skills?
So in a nutshell, hard skills are the skills that a hiring manager or recruiter can see on your CV. It's the skills and the technical skills that have helped you get to where you are now in your career. But now what we see more and more, and I don't just mean in the energy industry and in industries I've worked in before, but also across the clients and disciplines NES Fircroft supports worldwide, is a growing trend for hiring managers to put a greater emphasis on soft skills during the recruitment process. And soft skills are really hard to articulate and get across in a CV. So what we're seeing is a hiring manager is requesting for the recruiter to add more information to a CV cover sheet that can perhaps articulate those soft skills. Your soft skills are your interpersonal skills, and they're your personal attributes, your teamwork, your ability to communicate, your ability to manage a team. Whilst you can say on a CV you're a strong manager, what are the soft skills that help you be a strong manager?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important distinction in the way it works. We'll get into that in a minute. But my next question really is, why is it important to employers and to candidates to distinguish between hard and soft skills?
Employers and hiring managers in any industry, Matt, I'll be honest with you, it's really a common trend now within the recruitment market, but employers and hiring managers really value a all-rounded, balanced individual and team player within the team. So when a hiring manager fails to get that balance right, it really has such a negative impact on the team and the department, on the project output. And it's not just costly, it's not just time consuming, but it really does have a detrimental impact on team morale, on perhaps taking back steps on the project. That's why we're seeing the hiring manager really raising it to our recruiters at the start of the recruitment lifecycle to make sure we get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose one of the key things as well that they look for outside of qualifications that soft skills help with is things like cultural fit and whether or not they'll work well within the existing team.
Exactly that, because when they get it wrong, it goes so wrong. Often, some of the vacancies that we support are not just with my client, but with our other clients across the business worldwide is a backfill for a poor performing individual. Now, we know that hiring manager made an informed decision at the time that CV matched the bill of what they had open or what vacancy they had open in their team at that time. But soft skills are hard to get to understand in an interview, and sometimes The candidate is nervous in an interview too, so that means that they don't always articulate their soft skills in the right way. But we've seen the negative impact of when it gets done wrong. We've often had to backfill the person that gets it wrong, and I'm sure that we've placed the person that hasn't been quite the right fit for that role too.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And it's something I think candidates can be thinking about before they even go to interview. And one of the questions I did have really was looking more specifically, what are the kind of soft skills that are valuable in the industry? What are the soft skills that engineers should be looking to develop?
So I would say these soft skills are soft skills that would benefit anyone in any industry at any level. You are talking about communication skills, you're talking about team play attributes, you are talking about emotional intelligence. These are really skills that you'll be developing throughout your career, because as you get more and more experience and those hard skills become more and more evident, those soft skills are expected to be developed at the same time. And also in your personal life, Matt, don't forget, time management skills and strong interpersonal skills, these are only going to benefit you in your friendships, in your relationships, in your partnerships. And that's why it's important that we don't stop asking for feedback on how we're doing with this and being open to receiving that feedback, even though sometimes it can be difficult to hear. But these soft skills is something that someone should look to continue to develop throughout their career, because as you join different organizations and you work for different heads of departments or line managers, everyone will have a different personality and a different technique or approach to somebody that you've worked with before. So it's critical that you continue to evolve your own self in order to highlight in the interview and in the recruitment process just how adaptable you really are, to highlight yourself as the best fit for the role.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would expect as well, I think one thing that does happen, certainly at the start of a career, your qualifications will match any number of candidates, and it's often the personality at interview stage. Individuals at higher levels certainly are sought after because of who they are and their reputation within the industry and stuff, which that comes again from developing those soft skills.
I couldn't agree with you more, Matt. There's a phrase in the industry, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And those relationships, I see it within my client, where we've had contractors that have been a part of that organization or under that line manager for years. And it becomes a true partnership and also a friendship, with the back-to-backs on rotation. The expectation is clear, and we must remember that these workers are often working in close-knit environments. They are offshore, they share in a small room, bunk beds, they living in a compound. You want to make sure that the person that you are sharing your time with and relying on to fulfill your role responsibilities when you are off rotation to an acceptable standard, you want to make sure that that relationship works. And a large part of that relationship working is through strong soft skills.
Absolutely. So it leads me quite well into my next question. Obviously, developing those soft skills isn't something that I think, or something that we say that candidates can just rely on will happen. It benefits so much more if it's focused on, but obviously there's also professional development and career development. So how can engineers and candidates balance their development, and what's the best way about developing their soft skills alongside their hard skills?
Always asking for feedback. Asking for feedback from your peers as to how something maybe came across. Asking for help, asking for suggestions from your team, from your peers at the same level, right up to your management team. You must remember that your hiring manager or your line manager wouldn't have hired you if they didn't feel that you could do the role. And we all need a helping hand sometimes. We all need some support that isn't just an e-learning L&D module. It's face-to-face. We mustn't forget the importance of just a face-to-face meeting or conversation, and if need be, even over Teams, just having that open and transparent conversation to share what could be better. Not that it's done necessarily wrong now, or how you presenting it is necessarily wrong, just what you could maybe work on to do better in the future. And we must always try not to take it personally. We must always try to take it as just a lessons learned and valuable feedback as opposed to criticism.
Yeah, brilliant. And how can candidates work with, what are the practical things that people can do with a recruiter, or even with friends or with someone else supporting them to be able to assess these skills and develop them?
So I'd say spend as much time with your recruiter as what you can to fully understand the role, but also then to prep for your interview, because you must remember these recruiters have most likely recruited for this client many times before, and most likely recruited for this hiring manager before. So they have a great understanding of the cultural fit and personalities within the team. It's a key requirement that gets raised in the spotlight call and the intake call at the start of the recruitment lifecycle. We want to understand what soft skills are required for this person to be successful in this role. We really want to place somebody who not just sees that assignment as a stepping stone, but really just as the next step in what is going to be the rest of their career. And by spending time with that recruiter in terms of the interview prep and doing a SWOT analysis and practicing with friends and family on commonly asked questions like strengths and weaknesses, it just helps you feel more prepared and more confident in the interview too.
Brilliant, thank you. Just thinking on working with your clients then really, and thinking about how they approach soft skills. What are you seeing as kind of the trends around that, and how are you seeing employers emphasising that? Has that changed over the years from looking purely at, we've got things like ATS systems now and AI, and a lot of that already covers the hard skill side. So how are your clients kind of adapting to look for these sort of skills?
It's changed massively, Matt. Literally from when I was part of the NES team 10 or 12 years ago, where the emphasis at the start of the recruitment lifecycle in that vacancy intake call or the briefing call with the hiring manager was very much, the questions were very much targeted around the hard skills and the qualifications and education and systems that were needed for that person in that role. Whereas now it's changed to, I need somebody who's got experience in managing certain types of individuals, managing and overseeing a project in a certain way. And we then as recruiters, it's our job to make sure we try and support the hiring manager with articulating that in the CV. When we put the CV forward for shortlisting and review, we try to highlight that as much as possible to really set the candidate up for success for that first interview. But there's just so much more emphasis on soft skills now than what I saw 10 years ago with the business.
Yeah, and I suppose that kind of debunks a bit of a myth around recruiters, in that it's not just about matching the right qualifications with the right role. It's much more people management. There's much more of a social element to it.
Absolutely. So, a large part of our recruiter's role here is not just CV sourcing. That is not the easiest part of the job, but it's a part of the job. It's a very small part of the job. The rest then comes with that phone or face-to-face interaction, if we can meet with the candidate, to tell them about our clients, to fill them in on what was shared in that intake call and what the job requires, to then interview preparation. This is what we know about the line manager. This is what our other contractors have told us about the environment and culture from where they sit in their positions. And this just really sets the candidate up for success as much as possible. That's what we want to try and do, and help them maybe not just get that particular offer, but maybe with future interviews to come too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a full package of support, really, essentially, and making sure the right people get into the right roles that they will stay in, because as retention and staff turnover is also something that is affected by recruitment as well. So
absolutely, and I think that churn within a contractor workforce or a contractor base can be attributed to poor soft skills or a wrong gelling of the soft skills within the team. I'm very lucky that the client that I support has a really low turnover of staff and a really low turnover of contractors, and that's really a pleasure to see how the teams and the departments gel and develop as months and years go by. But I know in my previous roles, in my previous career within managed services, I've seen it firsthand how poor hiring of an individual can have such a negative impact on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's all really good information, I think, and really good insights into soft skills and how they're being applied and what employers are now looking for and how that can kind of carry a career. So my last question really is, what are your, we've covered them a little bit in terms of feedback, but what are your kind of ideal tips and insights for candidates who are saying, right, what's my next step for developing soft skills? How do I identify them and what can I do?
I would say just remembering that all feedback is a gift, and just never forgetting that and continue to ask for it. Go out and network and push yourself out of that comfort zone and ask those awkward questions, knowing that everyone is there to support you around you. Your colleagues and your line manager, they really want to get the most out of you. So, and never underestimate how important soft skills are, because whilst you can improve your hard skills and achieve another qualification and learn another system, it's important that you remember, and anyone listening to this remembers how important it is to continue to evolve yourself as an individual. So just remembering that all feedback is just so important. All feedback is a gift, and just really continuing to prioritize yourself in the development of your soft skills in every role. So many companies and clients offer excellent e-learning systems and platforms now on the shared drives, but also just remembering that you prioritizing this time for yourself as you investing in your own future.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are courses available for developing soft skills as well. There are communication courses which shouldn't really be overlooked, because they don't tend to be particularly long, but they tend to be informative. They're adaptable to people, and they will help you build up in a structured way in exactly the same way as hard skills.
Absolutely.
Okay, Justine, thank you very much for joining us today on our podcast. Some really useful information there for our candidates. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
This has been Engineering Pro with me, Matt Nicholson, and our guest, Justine van Eeden, Key Account Director here at NES Fircroft. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast and have a better understanding of the difference between hard and soft skills and how developing them can really drive your career. If you'd like to learn more, you can head over to our website at www.nesfircroft.com. You can also register your details with us and browse new opportunities in the engineering industry. Thanks for watching and listening.